What's going on, Island Hoppers? Today we're going to do a full travel guide going all across Singapore. Let's do it.
That's right, everybody. We're coming to you with the 21 best things to do in Singapore, known as the city inside of a rainforest, with a population of around 6 million people. Coming to you from Southeast Asia, from the tip of the Malaysian Peninsula. Here we are. Let's start with rooftop bars and lounges. A lot of people don't really know the extent of the rooftop bar scene or lounges out here in Singapore. Places like Mr. Stork, Sky Bar, there's also Level 33. So do be sure to check out some rooftops while here. Also, there's these hanging garden areas where you go up into buildings and they have these rainforests basically growing off the side of them. And you can go to places like the Pan Pacific building and actually walk around from floor to floor on the outside in this garden type setting. But I would say the best overall area for rooftops is going to be at the Sands SkyPark Observatory. At night, there's a beautiful bar that you can also go to. And obviously the Sands being the big hotel casino in Singapore, but you don't need to stay there to go to the Sands SkyPark Observatory. You get views of Marina Bay. You also get views looking out towards gardens by the bay, and then all the way out across Singapore in all directions. You can even see Sentosa Island from here. Now, ticket prices do vary depending on seasons, peak season or not peak season. During non-peak season, adults are $32, but some people say it's better to go to the top floor for a drink, and the entry there would be free if you order a drink. And there you can see the Art and Science Museum, definitely worth checking out while you're in the area. Also, the infinity pool at the top of the Marina Bay Sands is quite spectacular, as you can see here, but you do have to be a guest at the hotel to visit. Now, since we've showed you around the observation deck, let's show you what else is around the Marina Bay, like the big mall right here at the base. So you got the Marina Sands Mall. There's also an attached casino. You will need to have your passport on you in order to actually enter the casino. And then you have the Venice type gondola where you can actually take a boat ride on that gondola through the mall. The benefit of being in here, it's air conditioning, and if you know anything about Singapore, it does get hot. But with that being said, after you've cooled down in that mall, you can actually go to the gardens by the bay. You can take the footbridge right over there, and it is a very beautiful experience to be over there at the gardens by the bay. If that daytime heat is too much for you, you can go at night and check out the Super Tree Grove at night. But I would say going here during the daytime, exploring around the Flower Dome, the Cloud Forest, and the Super Tree Grove. You can actually go to the top of one of those and get a great view around as well. As you can see with this observatory, there's also a skywalk where you can walk in between the super trees. So definitely come on out here to Gardens by the Bay. And then you have the Cloud Forest. This is where Avatar World is. Now, you can buy tickets to each one of these attractions individually, or you can actually lump them together and do the Cloud Forest, Super Tree Grove, and the actual Flower Dome. So it's just up to you how much of this experience you want to get out of Gardens by the Bay. But I would say Super Tree Grove and this here Cloud Forest, Avatar World, definitely a must. And just to give you an example of the cost here, you have Flower Dome and Cloud Forest, so those are combined, and that's going to cost you around $43 for an adult. It's a little bit cheaper for the kids. The good news is if you wanted to skip the Flower Dome, you could actually do the Cloud Forest and the Super Tree Observatory or the OCBC Skyway, and that would save you a lot of money, costing around $25. And the truth is, walking around here, it's great exercise, and it never hurts to get in a good exercise day, right? You sleep good at night. Now we're gonna head out to Sentosa Island and see what's out here. There's a couple ways to get out here. One of the most efficient ways is by the Sentosa Express. It's this tram that goes out there from the mainland to the island. Or you could take the cable car. A lot of people really like that cable car because it's quite the views. And once out here in Sentosa, you can go to Universal Studios. Now the price to go here is around 92 Singapore. That's about $68 for an adult. Prices do vary depending on if you're a senior or if you're a child, but you get the idea for the pricing. Now this here, Universal Studios does have some roller coasters It also has some rides to get you out of the heat and indoors. I spent about 3 hours going around the Universal Studios here, but I ended up wanting to go towards the beaches, so I explored a bit more around Sentosa. But Universal Studios for a family is a great outdoor adventurous day, and you can even cool off by doing one of these river rides right here going around. Singapore has a couple of these types of parks, which we'll be showing you a little bit later on. Also, if you guys are enjoying this Singapore video so far, please give it a like and consider subscribing to our channel as we continue to take you all around the world, showing you the best things to do. But anyways, if you're a family coming here to the Universal Studios, I would suggest 5 to 6 hours. I think that's just enough for a family to have a really good time and get their fill out of Universal Studios. By the way, this whole area here is known as Resorts World, and right next to Universal Studios, you'll find the S.E.A.Aquarium, S.E.A.Aquarium. Now, prices to get in here, about $19. They do have a really large aquarium tank here. The only thing missing from this tank is the giant whale sharks that some of the other ones have in Atlanta or Okinawa. But they do have big rays in here, big sharks also. No great whites, but you'll see some hammerheads and other types of sharks in here. And here is a look at that giant aquarium. Kids just marvel at this thing when they see it. Anyways, now we're headed over to the beaches. So you have Siloso Beach. This is where they're going to have beach volleyball, several cafes and bars as well. And it's also home to the famous Ibiza Beach Club. You also have Palawan Beach, which is more laid back, not so many bars. In fact, there is no bars, there's just a 7-Eleven. And then you have Tanjung Beach, which is a lot more quiet and located on the easternmost part of the island. These are artificial beaches, by the way. While at the beaches, you can do bungee or you can even zip line if you wanted to. Now we're headed inland a bit to Chinatown. Now Chinatown is one of the cultural experiences here in Singapore. Good food down here, several Michelin restaurants. Also, you can do some shopping, walking around and see the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. That's also very famous because of the way it looks. This is a historical area and people just come down here for about an hour in the evening and walk around and get a bite to eat sometimes. Now, one dish that I would recommend checking out would be the Hainanese chicken here in the area of Chinatown. Singapore has a rich history from Chinese immigrants who came down here to live in the Malaysian peninsula. They're actually known as Peranakan. So you'll notice Singapore is very Chinese. So you'll notice Singapore has many Chinese citizens. Now here we are in the historical neighborhood known as Joo Chit. This here area has the Peranakan houses. Joo Chit is also known for its bars, restaurants, and pubs, a bit of a local hangout area in the evening time. Now here we are in Little India, so there is also a lot of Indian immigrants who moved to Singapore in time. So you have this beautiful fusion of Asian culture and a little bit of British influence. The most commonly spoken languages here in Singapore are going to be English, a bit of Indian, Chinese, which is like Mandarin, Cantonese, and then you also have Tamil, which is a bit of a French blend. Now we're going to take a look around the Singapore Zoo. There's a couple ways to get tickets for this, but average price is going to be around $30 to $40 for an adult. Kids a little bit cheaper, but a lot of people like to get the package deals. The package deal could include River Wonders, which is right next door. That's where they have the pandas. But the Singapore Zoo, this is one of the best zoos in the world. At least that's how it's been ranked. And I would say if you can even get one that would include the 2-in-1 park hopper, okay? Even the night safari could be worth it for those of you who don't want to be out in the bright sun. Night safari is kind of interesting, especially if you have kids. As you just saw with the orangutans, that's one of my favorite places to hang out. There is a Borneo type orangutan and then there's the Sumatra orangutan, and both of those variants are here at the Singapore Zoo. Now we're actually going to head next door to the River Wonders and show you around. So here they actually have a ride, whereas at the Singapore Zoo all they have is the tram that goes around, no rides. Here you can see the giant panda. This here is definitely one of the reasons why I would recommend going to River Wonders, because of the pandas. And actually when you go inside their enclosure, you will feel a lot cooler. So they keep it very cold in here. I guess pandas like cooler temperatures as they would have it in China. Also, you'll see the red panda right next door to the pandas. You'll notice there are several different aquariums as you're going through here. because that's why they call it River Wonders. It doesn't focus on the ocean, it focuses on river life. And there's also the Amazon River Quest, which is basically like going on an Amazon water safari. Here we are at Bird Paradise. This here used to be called the Singapore Bird Park, but it's actually Bird Paradise no matter how you hack it. And you're gonna see a wide variety of birds. Now, I'm not a big fan of birds typically, so I didn't really think that I should head out here to the bird park. But wow, when I got here, I was like, this place is awesome. It's brand new and it's state-of-the-art bird aviary, all these different birds. They come right up to you too. And the type of varieties that you're gonna see here, really impressive. And I would say this is definitely one of my highlights for visiting Singapore is this here bird park. Now, prices to get in here are about $50 for adults. Children's between 3 and 12 are about $35. And I know some of you might be thinking that this is far away from the city center, but the way I did it was I went to the zoo and then I went to River Safari and I went to the bird park all in the same day. And you could even include the night safari at the end of the day if you wanted to. But that would be a big day, getting an early start, big breakfast, and then spending all day out here. And now we're in another historical area. This here is Kampong Glam, also known as Arab Street, Haji Lane. These are some of the more famous areas around here. This is more of an Islamic culture, so you're gonna have a lot of Turkish influence walking around here, Arabic culture, also Indonesian culture down here. So really cool. I would highly recommend coming down here. It's not too far away from Bugis. If you get off at that station, you can easily walk over here. But this is a place I would recommend going at night. They do have pubs, good food, and some souvenir shopping. Really, really cheap souvenirs here. Over the last 5 years, this place has gotten a facelift as well, so it's a lot more colorful. So if you've been here before, but you didn't know what to expect, just expect a lot of changes in terms of vibrance and colors down here, really coming up. Now we're in probably the most expensive area of all of Singapore, aside from Sentosa if you're looking at real estate. But Orchard Road, this is a trendy, hip area. Lots of young people come here. A lot of overseas foreign workers hang out here on Sunday, so it really kind of doubles in size. But Orchard Road is definitely one of the top areas in all of Singapore. It's a little bit more lush, I would say. One thing you can do while you're here is ride the public transportation on the bus and just go down Orchard Road. Some people also take the big bus tour, but you can easily do Orchard Road on one of those MRT systems, the mass transit, and just sit in the front seat on the top of the double-decker. Now here we are at the river. So the Singapore River is really historically quite famous. You have several different quays here. You have Boat Quay, Clark Quay, Robertson's Quay, and each one of those quays is like a little neighborhood. But historically, there's a lot of relevance. If you go to the Singapore Historical Museum, you can learn about some of that stuff there. But these river cruises take you up and down the river towards the Marina Bay, and then you loop back around again. And now let's talk about local food. So Hainanese chicken, that's definitely one of the famous dishes. There's also lots of seafood. You can see I was eating down here in Boat Quay. That's a little bit more expensive, but it's an experience in and of itself. I recommend going to one of the hawkers like Lau Pa Sat or Maxwell's. There's several different hawkers. These are food halls basically in Singapore. Now here we are at the Changi Jewel. This here is at Terminal 1 in the Changi Airport. You can do this in the daytime. It actually closes in the evening, so if you have a late flight, you might miss it. Most people either catch it on the way in or on the way out. It's this big waterfall and atrium at the airport. Now here we are at the Botanical Garden. So walking around here, it's more of an affordable experience, not going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost you more in transportation probably getting up here, but if you get one of those Metro cards or the big bus, it's already paid for, pretty much. And yeah, they have the Orchid Garden here, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And if you do plan to visit Singapore, I highly recommend you watch our best areas to stay in Singapore video next, clicking right here.